That was Rachel Harris. She's a PhD, a psychotherapist for over 30 years, and the author of Listening to Ayahuasca, a whole new area for study. I think ayahuasca, I first heard about a couple of years ago, and I would imagine from what I've heard, it's become quite popular, and psychedelics are now being looked at seriously as therapeutic medicines. Ayahuasca, I'm sure, will be one of those. So yeah, I don't know. At this point, Phil, I have mixed feelings about it. On the one hand, I think they could be very useful, beneficial. On the other hand, I think they can be dangerous.
Well, probably right. And Rachel would probably agree with you.
Right.
Just like any other substance that has dramatic impact. I mean, when you think about it, what's going on? You're taking, in this case, a brew of naturally grown plants, and something mind-boggling happens to most people when they do. You know,
Hmm.
and just like taking a certain pill or you know other kind of concoction. Anytime something dramatic happens, whether it's good or bad, it must be in some way having an impact on the brain and the central nervous system because it's affecting perception and memory and cognitive function and the emotional patterns and everything else. So if something has a dramatic impact, something um, discoverable presumably and objective is happening
Hmm.
within some the person's physiology. So if that's the case, then the potential for side effects and negative experiences is probably also there. That's why all the people who favor psychedelic use, whether it's for spiritual reasons or psychotherapeutic reasons, they all talk about set and setting and the context and having proper supervision and proper dosage and all the rest. So there's obviously danger if you go against the proper safe way of doing
Right.
things.
It seems like the psilocybin research, and again, we had Anthony Bosis on discussing that. Uh, it's a little bit more controllable because it's something that's produced in a laboratory and they have more control of the setting. Going
Yeah.
into an indigenous area with shaman and so on and so forth, the dosages,
Well,
what they're extracting and having people drink, I would think there's a wide range. Obviously, people, like
well,
you
but
said,
but let's hold
yeah,
on for a second because in the context of that tradition, which is an old one, it probably is a very controlled setting. The control is being done by the shaman and the people, who are the
yeah, but I think
expert.
yeah, I think the problem comes, Phil, is it's not like they're a certified shaman, and from what I've read, and
That's
this
right.
becomes a
That's
big
right.
problem. Hey, there's money coming
Right.
into the
Right.
country from people looking for this. Then everybody's suddenly a shaman,
That's
and that's where the problems come. I'm sure
yeah.
there are
Yeah.
people that have been doing this for generations, father, grandfather, grandmother, whatever, back 13 generations or whatever, and they really know what they're doing. But
Right.
finding those
Right.
folks and then maybe the plants in Costa Rica are different than the plants in Brazil, and I think that that's all in time controllable and things can come out of it, and because people are having a range of experiences that are new and different, so you have to have somebody that's mapped out those experiences and understands them better. So there's a lot of challenges involved. That being
Yeah.
said,
Yeah.
we've all read and heard from all of the research that's been going on with in these areas that it's had dramatic impacts in many cases for the good of a lot of people. It's
Yeah.
getting over addictions, getting over fears, and getting great deeper insights into life. I'm just wondering how one cultivates and utilizes the potentials that are in these plants or whatever for helping people and avoiding things that might be detrimental.
Yeah.
I
I
guess
don't know the
farmers,
answer,
I,
obviously, but
pharmaceutical companies probably have the same problems. They're developing drugs all the time, and
yeah.
they have good and bad effects, and it's something they have. And a lot of drugs have even gotten approved by the FDA only to be recalled because they have problems. So there's nothing easy about it. But on the other hand, I think it's unavoidable that they have to look to this because a lot of the drugs that are produced by the pharmaceuticals have not been producing the results that we would like, and maybe in these other areas, like in psychedelics, there's greater promise for hope and help.
Yeah, and one of the concerns that I'm sure people like Rachel have is, you know, we can look back to the 60s and see what happened. So, as you said, there's probably people off who are phony shamans who are, seeing people with money willing to spend it on ayahuasca experiences, and people take advantage of that, just like people took advantage of the LSD situation back in the 60s. There was phony LSD, there was adulterated LSD, there were people who were charismatic, offering people, saying they can guide them through their experience as if they were experts, and negative things happen. So the same is probably possible with ayahuasca.
Yep. Well, it'll be interesting to watch this research and what happens in the next number of years. And I think, and also the legality involved and the illegality, and in what areas, what countries the research will be done, what
Yeah.
areas they'll focus on. But if it's out there and many people are deriving benefit, then there'll be more and more people seeking out and looking into it. And again, our show being focused on contemporary spirituality, these experiences for years and years, for centuries, we could say, have been associated with spirituality and deeper understanding and meaning in life. And
Hmm.
so this might be a
Yeah.
way of shortcutting people to those
Who
experiences.
knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? But we should add that, Rachel did a lot of systematic research, and,
Hmm.
a book, which, nearly 300 pages of outlines her findings and how she went about it and all that. So people who are interested
Hmm.
in what others have experienced with ayahuasca can get a very a thorough look at the possibilities and the previous experiences in Rachel's book. And one thing that didn't come up in our interview with her, but I should mention, is, we asked a little bit about her, the way she went about her research, the methodology, and she said it was a very extensive questionnaire that took people hours to fill out. In her book, there are two appendices um, with the questionnaires.
Hmm.
So people who are interested in the research and how she went about it can find out a lot in her book.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing to look at, and I also think that anybody that is interested in therapy, psychological therapy, becoming a psychotherapist, a psychologist, a psychiatrist, this is an area that I think is going to definitely be part of psychiatric treatments, and learn everything that you can. It's a brand new area, and I think if it develops properly, then a lot of people could derive a benefit from it. And it's really sad that some serious research was going on back in the 50s on psychedelics. And for 50 years, it's been put on the shelf because of recreational use and it not being come out in a more controlled way. But hopefully this time around, it will, and benefits will be derived.
We'll find out.
Stay tuned. Uh,
Stay tuned.
More on
Coming to
Spirit
you live
Matters.
from the jungles of the Amazon.
Maybe we should start reporting live in locations around the world. Maybe not.
Okay.
Till next time, Phil.
Okay. Take care.
That was Rachelle Harris. She's a PhD, a psychotherapist for over 30 years, and the author of Listening to Ayahuasca, a whole new area for study. I think ayahuasca, I first heard about a couple of years ago, and I would imagine from what I've heard, it's become quite popular, and psychedelics are now being looked at seriously as therapeutic medicines. Ayahuasca, I'm sure, will be one of those. So, yeah, I don't know. At this point, Phil, I have mixed feelings about it. On the one hand, I think they could be very useful, beneficial. On the other hand, I think they can be dangerous.
Well, probably right. And Rachel would probably agree with you,
Right.
just like any other